Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Three Geeks conversation with Jason and Justin. We've never really done these live before, but perfect timing. They were available at 6, and I'm supposed to broadcast at 6. So I was like, well, let's just do that both at the same time. So, John, David, how you guys doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing great. Fantastic, actually. So let's start with the basic question. How did you guys get into film making?
DDR, you
Well,
want to go?
sure. The relationship between John Paul and I, a working relationship, which I just got to start off by saying half because I want to get hired by him, so I'm like really sucking up to him right now. But he really, I've learned so much from him, and he knows this of producing movies on a certain budget and making it work, and also having the sort of calmness of leadership that he has. It's a real thrill to be, kind of reflecting on our working relationship up to, this point. But we met through a mutual friend, and they had a short film called A Second Opinion that they wanted to get off the ground. And I went through the interview process, and we shot that film for about maybe a solid week, and that film took us to the Cannes Film Festival. And the thing is that as a director, and as a director who has two feature films under his belt, and I never really had to interview really for any of them, is all because of JP and David Gunning. And so that's how we kind of got together. And we've the usual collaboration through two actors, producers, writers in LA, where we give each other's scripts constantly, and we doctor each other's scripts, and we're collaborating on a screenplay later on after a lot of other things are lined up. And that's basically how we got connected. But it was it's a real thrill to always collaborate with John Paul. So that's how we met, and I'll let you take the rest.
Yeah, I got into filmmaking. I made a short film on a whim. Actually, I had a friend, a very good friend of mine, who tested positive for HIV, and I was with him, and it was a life-changing experience, and I wanted to say something about it. So I wrote a short film about a guy in his first day with this knowledge. And we shot it. I budgeted it. We made it, and I never expected. I just did it. I never expected to keep doing it. I never expected to love it so much, and I do. And so we made a second one, which was A Second Opinion, and we hired DDR Mr. David Del Rio to come direct. And
that's right, Mr. David Del Rio is correct. That's correct. Yeah, that's right.
Sorry. But yeah, we hired him to direct the second one, and I think we hired him. We tried to hire him to direct the third one, and he was busy being an actor, which is great. And then he directed another one for us, and I think another one. But we just always collaborated, and we were kind of instant friends. We're both weird and fun, and love this business more than anything. So yeah, we hopefully we continue to work together throughout our careers and in life. That would be my druthers.
What was it like working with Paul T. Taylor? We had him on for an interview a few months back, and that guy is a ball of energy.
Yes. I'll go for it. I've known Paul since I think 2000 or maybe 2001. I'm from Dallas, and he lives in Dallas, and he's located in Dallas. And we met doing theater. I think the first show I ever did, he played Billy Flynn in Chicago, and I was Amos Hart. And we shared a dressing room, and we just got along really well. We're both strange, and I think he'd be okay with me saying that. But probably. we did a bunch of theater together, a bunch of shows, and then when I moved out here and I started making films, he was one of the actors I always wanted to hire because he's great. Like, he's so great at everything he does, every character. He's so there. We cast him in our first film as well. Yeah, so yeah, I love working with Paul. He goes for it.
I think we had him on for planning for 20 minutes, and he was on for like an hour and 20 minutes.
It sure was.
Wow.
That sounds like our group of people that we like to hang with. I mean, JP and I are the same thing. We talk about film; it's going to be sort of an extension. The thing about Paul that I've always enjoyed, even from like the first audition tape in Sick for Toys and the first film that we worked on together, the amount of subtlety in his choices, and also, when he's subtle, you can just sense there's a fire in there ready to burst out. And I keep telling him, when it bursts, go for it, and when it doesn't, I really enjoy seeing you hold it in. And he played, he was in our first movie for about 4 minutes, and people couldn't stop thinking about him, and to have him again for Roadhead, and also seeing just the fan base that he has and the work that he got to do, and how he handled the responsibility of carrying a popular franchise and making it his own, was really, it speaks a lot about his tenacity as an actor, and it speaks a lot about his joy of giving choices, constant choices and ideas, and the way he musically says lines is just like, and he gives us a different take every time. And he's such a great collaborator, a complete pro, a real just great guy to work with, and I hope to continue to work with him again.
So you guys are here to promote Roadhead. When I saw when they sent me the agent, when they sent me the packet, I thought it was a comedy just by the title. I stereotyped the title, but it's not. It's actually really great. What's the movie about? How do you guys come up with the idea?
JP?
Well, you can piggyback on this, but like,
sure.
It was I think in 2000, maybe 18. Just a couple of years ago, 3 years ago or so, me and some friends were joking about, we should just make a cheap horror movie to throw up there, something we can make for like $100,000, and why don't we call it Roadhead? The hashtag was amazing. Like, it was a joke. And I started thinking about it, and we came up with kind of a premise. And we decided, to go for it. We had investors that we were talking to and who wanted to invest in film, and so we hired our writer Chloe Sky, and I basically told her, I was like, okay, it takes place in the desert on a dry lake bed, and there's a killer, and he cuts off people's heads, and that's all that they find. Go. And she was like,
and she wrote that. And let me tell you something. She wrote that fast, and it was super impressive. The drafts that that Chloe would just hash out anytime we had notes and rounds and stuff like that. And she really was. I mean, she had her own factory of scripts, and so it was very, very impressive. And and basically, I was just approached. And the other thing was. We had such a challenging but yet so fun and gratifying time in our first feature that, the fact that JP, David Gunning, Chloe, and the rest of the people kind of put their faith in me again to kind of find or try to make sense somehow of the title page first off, and then reading it again, then JP and I started speaking, and I said, well, this is what I think is the real story, and this is what I would want to see. And then there goes Chloe, another draft hashing out, and then we were kind of like, okay, I think we're ready, and then we just went for it.
But you also added, they kept coming back to me and going, okay, we're doing really well. We've got some really great ideas. We're going to do another draft. We think we need $50,000 more. And then we think we need 100,000 more. So we added quite a bit to the budget, and we found people to believe in us and give us the funds. So, hey.
So how do you pitch that? How do you go to someone and say we need $50,000 more or whatever it is?
That was an interesting pitch meeting. That really was.
You did it very smartly. You plan it all out. No, we got together our package and we sent it to the investors. We got meetings, and you basically just approach them and tell them what you want to do, and we practice before we do it. We always practice, and everybody has their, like I talk about production, and I talk about budget and all this, and BDR handles anything involving directing and vision. And Mr. David Gunning, my partner in all this, he deals with casting. He deals with the actual financiers and makes the deal with them. So yeah, we all have our set. And apparently we're okay.
It worked out. Yeah.
They were very, the thing is that they were very interested in how JP and David Gunning were treating this as a product to sell. That was what their basis was. And then I was kind of in there to be all the vision and the creative and the fluffy and the the emotion, the heart of it. And then, David Gunning and JP would kind of come in and go, all right, well, now that heart stuff is out of the way, this is how we're going to do it logically. This is the budget for water. This is the budget for casting. We're going to get a casting director. This is the budget, that kind of thing. And they were, and we treated it like a business, and my job was to be the creative front of it. And then JP and David Gunning were the people to kind of say, this is how we're going to sell the product. And how we kind of started the pitch, I remember, is how I, kind of started a lot of pitches before we started shooting, which was, I know. Bless you. It was the start of every pitch meeting was, I know. We know it's called Roadhead, and we know we have a medieval executioner. We know that heads will be chopped off. We know this, but there is an audience for it. And there are people who would want to watch it, and yet there's a deeper story in there that we're kind of interested in. Listen, you can't really make a movie and say, well, this has never been done before. Like, we're not Christopher Nolan. However, where JP and I really kind of go, what our compass is let's do something that we've never seen before in our sort of mental filing cabinets of films that we love and seen before. Let's kind of go after something that we've never seen or it's never been done before. And, I don't know if we, achieved it. However, that's how we were pitching it to people. And that's how we were pitching it to investors as well. So we try to find the nook of, okay, this has never been done before. You tell me when this has been done, that kind of thing. And people really want to work with 910 Films, and people want to work with Delco Cup Productions because they really present the numbers and they really know that this is a product first, and I come in and just, get all artistic and go, no, it's my vision. That's my vision. That's why I'm there. But it seemed to work.
It did.
Now I'm curious, is there anything that you would have done like artistically different if you had any budget in the world? Like, if I would have given you $1 million tomorrow, what would you have done differently about Roadhead?
That's a good question. I mean, I think
different time of year.
Different time of
so
year.
Go ahead, JP.
Sorry.
I said shot it at a different time of year because it was very hot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sorry.
Our last day. Well, our last day, I remember we had to rework the beginning of the film of how these two people were going to die. And we were met with 34-mile-per-hour winds. And we had lights up on stands. About maybe 10 feet, 15 feet high.
Sounds dangerous.
And yeah, it was very dangerous. And so it was, and by the way, that's kind of like my favorite part of filmmaking, where it's like, what if this happens? And then we have to go back from page one and then kind of go through what we shot and say, well, that makes sense and all that stuff. And so that was challenging. The weather conditions, I would agree with JP there. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have to imagine making I would say a small budget film, but a lower budget film probably really hones your craft, right? I imagine it really kind of fine tunes that art, right, and the creative process.
Well, you
But
definitely
soon.
get to make decisions. You definitely get to make decisions faster. I think.
Sure.
You know what I mean? You don't have the gift of time going. Well, I don't like that jacket. Can you guys see what else you can find? You know, or
Yeah.
something stupid,
Yeah.
or something stupid like that. But
Yeah.
it did bring us back to film school, and it did. I feel like I feel like I do respect the hierarchy. Where
Mhm.
when I come up with an idea, I ran back to JP and David Gunn and gave them the pitch, and so like, let me do it, please. And then they would either adjust, say yes or no, and then we kind of still figure out a way, to do it. And of course, they're really the best at their job, kind of giving the director the freedom to at least give the crazy ideas, and they think about it budgetary and story wise. But it does take us back. It does take us back to. I mean, I never went to really film school for directing, but we were in the field. We were playing the game on the field and trying to figure out ways that we were doing. But I think that the budget does kind of. And by the way, listen, that's just me sitting in the director's chair while the guy on my square right here is looking at every cent being spent. So I have a different experience with that, but
Sure.
but I do think that you have to make decisions faster with a small budget like that.
Well, I will say when we made Sick for Toys, there was a lot of things. I mean, we made several short films and we knew what we were doing, but
Yeah.
there was a lot of things that surprised us, and we were like, "Oh, we didn't budget for that." So when we made our second feature, we budgeted and planned for, and I shit you not, every tiny little thing. So every time something happens, like a wheel breaking off of your toilet trailer, we were prepared. We had a contingency. We had
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
like when David at the end of the, I think it was in the middle of shooting, he came to me and he goes, "I have an idea for a scene with Clayton, actor that plays Brian. I would like to bring him back at the very end." And I toiled over it for I think a couple of days. I was like, "Oh, I don't know if we can afford this. I don't know if we can, build it up." But eventually, you have to, when you hire a director, you have to trust them, and you have to say, "Okay, you know what? I trust you. Go. Here's the money."
Yeah. And you guys saw the movie, right? I assume you did. And so that ending was something really special, and I think Clayton was a real slick Rick about it, because it was his last day and he was leaving and saying goodbye, and he just decided to kind of throw that idea, and I thought it was real slick of him. But it was a great idea, and it added substance to the idea that we have this really weird side story between Stephanie seeing her ex, David, played by Clay Acker, and it was a different way of kind of getting over a breakup, which I found very weird and quirky and interesting. And that was an idea that I put into this for Chloe, and it's like, "Hey, can you do this? Because I think that would be pretty interesting." And then when Clay said it, I was like, "Oh my God!" It almost like ends the movie and kind of wraps it in a beautiful bow and all that stuff. And good for Clayton for kind of really acting like he wasn't really pitching to come back on set, but he really was, to get more screen time. But it was a great idea that I couldn't resist, and I'm really glad JP let me do it.
Oh, Clayton's great. He's such a phenomenal actor, and he's also one of my oldest friends. He's from Dallas too, and we met doing children's theater. I was running lights for a children's series, and he was a lead in 4 of the children's plays, and they were doing 5.
Oh, how about that? Well,
And we've done several shows together, and so it was a delight when we brought him in. Actually, we brought him in for Alex first, and then we brought him back in to read for Brian, and he just nailed it. And DVR was like, "Yeah, let's hire him." And I was like, "Yes."
That's fantastic. It's always fun to work with friends on whatever level you're doing it. So that's cool. What's next for you guys?
go ahead, David.
What's
JP? Tell me.
What-
Tell me.
Roadhead 2?
No pressure.
Actually, we joke about that quite a bit. Roadhead 2, like Trailhead. We joke about it a lot. I don't know if it's going to happen, but if anybody is listening to this likes
Ocean Head 2. You know what I mean? That'll be, a sort of
Poseidon's
Jaws feel.
Executioner. Yeah.
Actually,
Space Head, if we want to go crazy, lots of stuff, lots of things that can come out of it. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no. Me and actually one of our co-producers and second on Roadhead, Larissa Garcia Bab, me and her and David Gunning are working on a clown horror feature, and we've got Gary Tunnicliffe, who is a director and an FX artist. He actually came over the other night, and we all had some dinner and watched Edward Scissorhands. And every time we brought up a horror movie in the last 3 decades, he was like, "Oh yeah, I worked on that. What did the blood? Oh, yeah, Sleepy Hollow. No, I did all the blood. It's paint." And we were like, "Who are you?" But anyway,
that's sick.
Director. He's rewritten a script that I wrote and just made it brutal. It is a brutal horror picture, and it's called Chlorophobia, and which is the fear of clowns. And once we do that, we look forward to jumping into that. And then I'm, just working on a handful of other stuff. Anything that goes first will go next. And then I'm an actor too, and I'm getting more auditions now that COVID is leaving. Auditions coming back, which is nice. Yeah. So that's what's next for me.
Nice. What about you, David? And tell me about California Christmas too.
Not so. I'll be back as the part of Manny in California Christmas 2, and hopefully we'll be shooting it at the end of this month, which is why I got this mustache going, or some kind of idea of a mustache going. So I'll be working on that at the end of the month, and then I'll be starring in an ABC show. I don't know when it premieres. I think it's early spring. However, it is called Maggie. And we start shooting that in September. And
That's
so
awesome. TV.
Yeah. And then my wife and I are writing scripts, creating our own production company. Oh, that's the other thing. We have a feature film in post-production, hopefully slated to come out this year, called The Big Feed. It's a film that I produced, and along with my friend and ex-producing partner, but good friend, Fernando Ferro. And it stars my wife, Catherine Del Rio, and Manolo Gonzalez Vergara, Sophia's son. And so it's going to be it's a vampire movie. And it was a constant, JP knows this, it was a constant me texting him, kind of going, "How the hell did you do this?" and it was in the same budget. It was in the same budget as Sick for Toys, and it was constant texting him, going, "What the hell do I do?" And he's kind of been there for me as well, giving me advice. But I'm really excited. The film looks fantastic, and hopefully will be released later this year.
Awesome. My last question for you guys is, you guys do pretty much everything in the movie industry. You do the acting, you do some writing, you do some directing. What's your favorite part of filmmaking?
Well, I love being inspired by the crew and the cast. Like in a directing realm, I get my inspiration from the point of view of the people that I hire, and collaborating with people who treat filmmaking as a real game and take it ultimately seriously are the people that I really like to work with. And when it comes to what's my favorite part, writing, directing, or acting, one begets the other. When I write with a way of, will a director be okay with this? Or, will any director have a great open interpretation for it? When I direct, I feel like when the actors are doing so well, I feel like I just acted, because we were kind of really diving deep into process and craft and backstory and all that stuff. So when they give a good take, I'm like, oh God, I acted so well in that take. My goodness. And then basically when I'm acting, I'm an open canvas. Tell me what to do and tell me how to tell the story of this character, and I'll live truthfully. It's just for me, it's a real disconnect when you start feeling like you're something that you're not, other than an employee in the film industry, right? So it's just like I really, really respond to the filmmaking process when people act like employees before their title or their role,
Sure.
And so when they have a good work ethic, it makes the filmmaking process go really, really smoothly. And I don't know if I really answered your question. I just think that my favorite part of filmmaking is to work with like-minded people who are passionate about their work. And, JP and I try to set up a set where every light that's being set up, every sound, every plate of food that we're eating is for this take or this scene. It says, and we like bringing them into our world, into our story. And when it's all gung ho and they're like, let's go tell the story together. It's an invigorating and real upper, if you will, a real booster in the filmmaking process. So I love working with people who take their work seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with all that. I've thought a lot about it, whether I enjoy the production side, producing more, acting, and honestly, like, it's so rewarding producing because, especially, I start from the very beginning, from the development, and I take it all the way through to finish post. And my favorite part is bringing all of these different artists together, all these people that this is what they want to do with their life, like Ryan Burbell. He's our cinematographer and just one of my favorite human beings on the planet, even though he's brutally honest, which is good. But I love bringing him in, and because he works as an electrician or a gaffer a lot of the time on major TV shows, but he's a cinematographer. And so fun to hire him and other like-minded artists to do what they really want to be doing and to bring them all together and just watch them cook.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's inspiring. And I'm so happy that I get to do that. I think that's my favorite part.
Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard kind of being like the artistic director, like that's where I sort of come from, where it's like, I do want to make the frame beautiful, and I do want the frame to sort of create an emotional response into the audience. Like, for example, and Let It Be Known, I'm going to make this an exclusive public to the public right now. I'm so glad that people thought that we had enough budget for a green screen, but not one piece was a green screen in that film. All the mountains and clouds is definitely what you see there. Okay. But I guess where I was going with that is that what makes Ryan so great to work with is sometimes you feel like you're in trouble asking your parent for something. So it's kind of like, and all I would say is like, more romantic. And then he would be like, oh yeah, got it. And he would just get logistics and all that stuff. And he would give exactly what we need. And he's taught me a lot about being a lot more technical in communicating of what I'm looking for. He's a great leader. He's a great leader. And like JP said, very, very honest, but exactly what we need sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. And I liked your answer because it's good to know every aspect of a job in order to do your job to the fullest. And that's something that I do, and I work in insurance. So like I get it to some degree. But yes, thank you guys so much for joining us. This has been an absolute blast. The movie was fantastic. Do you guys have any social medias for everybody to check out?
Well, I'll go ahead and pimp the Roadhead Instagram, which is Roadhead Kills, at Roadhead Kills. And you can also find us on Facebook. And I am at the John Paul, Jon, and that's where you can find us.
I don't have a Facebook, Twitter, but here's my phone number. It's you can just find me on Instagram at David Del Rio.
Awesome. Thank you guys again for joining us. Everybody listening, watching, hit that like button. Check out Roadhead. When does the movie release?
This past Friday.
Oh, it's out.
Now
Awesome.
it's on Amazon Prime, Tubi, Google Play, and a couple of others, and it's going to be a lot more places soon. So we're excited.
Sweet.
Oh crap! I said Voodoo earlier. Damn it! I said Voodoo earlier. It's on Tubi. I get those confused. But go ahead, Voodoo. Grab us.
Yeah. Come on, Voodoo.
I'll share all the links to the movie too, so everybody can check it out. It's a lot of fun. I love the title, and once you see the movie, the title becomes even funnier. So check it out. Check out their movie. Check out everything they do. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys for joining us, and everybody out there have a great night.
Thank you. You as well.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Absolutely.